Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Finance Committee meeting of the Joint Water and Sewer Commission, and it is Wednesday, August the 19th at 3 p.m., and I'll call this meeting to order. Do we have any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, thank you much. All right, let's go through the approval section. Item number 1 is minutes from July 15th Finance Committee meeting.
I make a motion to approve the Finance Committee Finance Committee meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? 3-0. Okay, item number 2 is the final deductive change order from Community Road Water and Sewer Extensions. Mr. Burrows?
Yes, sir. So this is a final balancing change order that is a significant reduction in the contract price and also includes a time extension to balance the contract out. So it's a 100-day time extension due to weather and other unforeseens. We had some easement coordination issues, and one of the reasons there was a delay saved a significant amount of money. This is a reduction in the contract amount of $723,523. And those are mostly from two significant areas. One, we always have a few as needed items in the contract as things come up, but another area, and part of the reason there was the delay in the contract, you may recall that we worked out an agreement with Georgia Power to take over a section of sewer on their property on Community Road a few months back. That allowed us to take some of that flow through that system instead of having to come underneath Community Road. And so that saved us a significant amount of money. So all in all, very good project by the time we got done with this. And so the final contract amount is $2,334,284. And this will close this project out upon approval.
All right, good news.
Yes, anytime we save $700,000,
yes,
that is good news.
And that money will go back into the R&R fund?
This is from capital improvement fees.
Oh, capital.
This is
Okay.
so, but it will go to back uncommitted for future projects. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the Finance Committee approve final adjusting change order as a project time extension with an adjusted final project completion date of July 21st, 2026, and adjusted final contract amount of $2,334,284.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Just a question on page number 2 there, where the numbers are. Can you get a new stamp for our, perhaps get a new stamp for our engineer of record here?
No. I mean, I think at this point he's got to save more than $700,000 before we can get him a new stamp.
Can't have a new stamp for the cross out the thing that says account code.
We can't afford such things around here. So yes,
I just wondered about that. So. All right, any other questions or? All right, all those in favor? Okay, that count follows. That's 3-0. All right, item number 3, which is the contract award for the long-term water quality monitoring. Mr. Burrows?
Yes, sir. We're required by our discharge permits from the 3 wastewater plants to maintain what is known as a watershed protection plan for each of the 3 wastewater plants. What that does is require both dry and wet weather sampling upstream and downstream in the watershed the plant discharges into to ensure that the discharges from the plant are not negatively impacting long-term water quality in those receiving streams. We've had a long-standing relationship with Integrated Science and Engineering. This has been going back over a decade that they've done these plans for us. We are very pleased with the work that they've produced, and they would like to continue that for another year. There are 3 plants. Their work authorizations are separate for each of the 3 plants. The Academy Creek, given the flow of the plant, is a much more extensive protection plan that's required to be done. But the total cost for all 3 is $76,850. These are budgeted in the individual plant technical services budget, and this is actually a 7.8% reduction from our expenses last year. There was some additional monitoring requirements in last year's that only comes about every few years. So those were removed this time.
So we're 2 for 2 on reduction.
So far, we're doing well. That's right.
All right, that's great. Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission award a contract to Integrated Science and Engineering for the fiscal year 2027 watershed protection plans in the amount of $76,850.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on this matter? All those in favor? That passes 3-0. All right. Item number 4. This is the McElroy HDPE fusion machine repairs.
Yes, sir. We utilize a fusion machine, and what it does is create fusion welds on high-density polyethylene piping, HDPE. Essentially, the way the machine works is it heats up both ends of the pipe until the two sections are fused together by a fusion weld, which eliminates joints within the pipe. And pipe joints are often where failures occur, either at joints or fittings. It's most typically where you're going to have pipe failures at. So we have been utilizing a lot more HDPE piping in the past few years. Our existing fusion machine has been inoperable for several months. We can fuse up to 12-inch pipe with this machine. We received quotes from Consolidated Pipe and Supply. They are the McElroy supplier to repair the existing machine. There are 3 total quotes attached that total a combined $29,145.03. Given the cost to repair nearly $30,000, we asked them for a quote to replace it with a new machine. And upon getting that quote, we decided that the repair was a better option because it saves us about $70,000 to repair it. So the request is that we award a contract to Consolidated Pipe and Supply Company to repair the existing McElroy HDPE fusion machine in the amount of $29,145.03.
How old is this machine?
This machine's about 12 years old.
It is. And so this will kind of like.
This is the first major rehab we've done to it.
Kind of a new lease on life.
Yeah, this will be a very new lease on life for it. That's correct.
And different size pipes, it'll
It'll do anything, we can do, technically we can do 2, but we don't typically do a lot of 2-inch pipe.
Right, yeah.
But mostly, we do a lot of 4, 6, and 8-inch, and it will do up to a 12-inch pipe. You can rent these machines. There is one that we know that can rent in all of Georgia, so it's not always available. So it's good to have one on hand.
I'll move that the Finance Committee recommend awarding a contract to Consolidated Pipe and Supply Company to repair the existing McElroy HDPE fusion machine in the amount of $29,145.03.
Second?
Any discussion on this matter?
Is this a budgeted item?
No, this is not a budgeted
I
item.
wouldn't think so, no.
I don't have anything.
That's it? Okay. All those in favor? Passes 3-0. All right, now we're up to, all the way up to item number 6, the First Street EST wind rod replacements. Elevated storage tank, I believe that is, right?
Yeah, so this is for an elevated storage tank. The First Street tank is a legged elevated storage tank. The ones we're constructing now are composite tanks. They have a concrete bottom and, well, that's
Deleted items.
deleted items. Aha. Sorry, getting some photos so we know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's great.
So these metal legged tanks, they need wind rods to give it structural stability. And they look kind of like guy wires that are going across the tank. And as you can see, some of these wind rods have got a significant amount of electrolysis that appears to have occurred that has corroded the metal. That one looks worse than any of them. You can see there's very little material still connecting at that point. But you can see some of the other areas where we're starting to see this significant corrosion on these bars.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've got quotes. This is very specialized work. We got quotes from, there we go, from 2 providers to handle this work. There are 6 of the wind rods that need replacement. And we tried to get quotes from local fabrication shops, given the fact that it's elevated. They could fabricate the rods. They did not want to be involved with actually replacing them. So to do both of them, the lowest price was from Southern Corrosion, who is a elevated storage tank contractor. To replace the 6 wind rods is $73,000. Again, highly specialized work, a lot of insurance costs associated with this. So working on tanks of this size and this elevation tend to be very expensive.
So materials versus labor.
Labor, much higher percentage of this one.
Right. Yeah, I understand, so.
But the counterpoint, we do need to do a full rehab on this tank from the paint perspective, but we'll have to get that scheduled in the next couple of years. We need to get this done so that we don't end up with a structural issue with the tank. And, high wind events, we need to make sure it stands
Time
up.
frame on the work?
Yes, hang on, I don't remember where that was at. Tell you what, I'll have that for you tomorrow.
Okay, no problem. Good. All right, we need a motion for item number 6, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend awarding a contract to Southern Corrosion for the replacement of 6 wind rods at the First Street elevated storage tank in the amount of $73,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Wouldn't think so. All right. All those in favor? Passes 3-0. Okay, now we are up to item number 6, which is the equipment purchase for the Dunbar Creek Belt Press transfer pumps.
Yes, sir. We utilize transfer pumps to pump digested solids from the aerobic digesters to the belt presses for dewatering, and after dewatering, they're taken to the landfill for disposal. Our existing pumps were installed in the early 2000s. They're Gorman-Rupp Super T-Series pumps. They're very successful pumps. If we can get 25 years pumping solids, that's well done. We've requested quotes from 3 vendors to replace these pumps. This was an approved capital purchase line item in the FY27 budget, and we got 3 quotes. Given the relative closeness of the quotes, we'd like to go back with the Gorman-Rupp pump from Templeton and Associates as a like-kind replacement at $13,000. There are 2 other options there that are different manufacturers. They're a little bit less expensive, but the preference from staff is to maintain the existing equipment we have.
I'll move that the Finance Committee recommend approving the purchase of 2 Gorman-Rupp for placement of the Dunbar Creek Belt Press transfer pumps from Templeton and Associates in the amount of $13,000.
I'll second.
All right.
Probably safer bet to plug and play with the same.
You know they're going to sit exactly where they're supposed to. Don't have to change anything.
I was going to say that definitely, so, all right, great. All right, all those in favor? Passes 3-0. Item number 7, the capital equipment purchase of Southport air compressor.
Yes, so we utilize air compressors in multiple areas, but this one in specific is to operate the wiper system on the Wedeco UV system. You may recall that we just installed Trojan UV systems at Dunbar and at Academy. They have hydraulic systems. The Wedeco system we have at Southport is a pneumatic wiping system. So we had to have air compressors there, and we also have a pneumatic tank that runs off of this air compressor that pressurizes the plant's reuse system water. The existing compressor has become a recurring failure point and needs replacement, particularly key with the wiper function of the UV system, because as you can imagine, over time those bulbs become fouled, and if they're not wiped, they're less effective at disinfection. This is a budgeted item in the FY27 capital purchases for the wastewater division. Original budget was $8,000. We were able to get quotes. Now these were quotes that were all basically gotten offline because this is a fairly standard item. The low price, including shipping, is from Granger in the amount of $5,646.34.
Good job, Pam. I like it, so. All right, we need a motion for this item?
I move that the Finance Committee recommend approving the purchase of a new air compressor for the Southport WPCF from Granger in the amount of $5,646.34.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this matter? No? All right, all those in favor? 3-0. And we're all the way up to item number 8, which is the Academy Creek aeration basin mixer components.
Yes, sir. So we use mixers, and they've got a sketch here at the bottom that I can work from here. We use mixers at Academy Creek, and each mixer has a gearbox that sits on top of it that's available above the tank. And then there's a long shaft that goes down in the tank, and they have a intermediate impeller, and the bottom has blades on it. And as that shaft rotates, it will sit there, and actually it throws the water up, and that's what entrains the oxygen into the system. So we have 12 of these mixers of different sizes on aeration basin 1. We have 4 of these mixers that are larger on aeration basins 2 and 3. The treatment mindset changed in between that by the time we added AB2. So this is a request for parts, replacement parts for 2 different one of those. Gearbox number 8 on aeration basin 1 was sent out for repair for K Machine. The quote to repair the gearbox is $43,570. We requested a quote from the manufacturer for a replacement gearbox. The quote from Rogers Turner is $25,532 for a new gearbox. So we would prefer to do the new gearbox. They have offered, if we would like to pay a significant upcharge, we can get it in less than the 50 days they've quoted. I think we'll just rock for the 50 days because they want a 50% adder to get it here quicker. Also, the second item, as part of our improved maintenance at Academy Creek, we have been draining one aeration basin every winter to remove settled grit that have, to make sure that we have adequate treatment capacity. We've cleaned each of the 3 basins out over the past 3 years. In November, it's time to do AB2 again. Last time when we took AB2 offline, it was determined that we need to get a new shaft for the aerator number 1 on AB2. The existing shaft is warped and the blades on the bottom have been mostly broken off. There's very little material at the bottom, so it's not doing a whole lot. But you still have to have everything installed. If not, the oxygen leaks out of the system. So the quote for the new shaft is $41,994. The request is to do this month so that they can begin manufacturing and have that delivered by November so that when we take that basin down, the work can be completed so the basin is down for the smallest amount of time possible. So the combined cost for both of these items is $67,526. That's 1 gearbox and 1 aerator shaft.
All right, need a motion for this?
Sure, I'll move that the Finance Committee recommend approving the purchase of 1 gearbox and 1 aerator shaft for Academy Creek WPCF from Rogers, Turner and Associates in the amount of $67,526.
Second.
Do these aerators, they run 24 hours a day? Or are they shut off and on?
They're supposed to run 24 hours a day.
Okay, because there's several of them in there, right?
There's several of them. So there's 12, there's 4 stages on all 3 aeration basins. There's 4 stages. In aeration basin 1, there's 4 smaller mixers per stage. There's 1 larger mixer per stage in ABs 2 and 3. They do run continuously because if not, then the way the oxygen is injected, it rides in the headspace, and so that oxygen is not coming in contact with the wastewater if those mixers are not running.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Passes 3-0. All right, we're now up to item number 9, which is the distribution system pressure monitoring.
Yes, sir. So we operate 3 separate water distribution systems, and currently our system pressure is monitored either at elevated storage tanks or with local pressure transducers that are located near well sites that aren't necessarily operated off the elevated storage tank. That is successful. We get overall widespread views of that, but we want to be able to improve our pressure monitoring to allow us to be more proactive as we face problems throughout the system. We also realize that we have over 160 sewer pump stations distributed all throughout the sewer system that matches pretty closely to the water distribution system. And all of those sewer pump stations have a metered water connection with a backflow preventer. So we have water service at each of those pump stations, and so staff determined it would be beneficial to install water pressure transducers on we're doing half of the sewer pump station water services, and by doing that, we'll be able to develop a near real-time distribution system pressure map that can be tied into SCADA so that a couple of things can happen. We can, if we start seeing decreases in a particular neighborhood, that may mean that we've got a leak developing. It may mean that we've done maintenance in the area recently and perhaps left a valve in an off position that did not need to be off. Or it can help us for future planning to know where we need to do improvement projects because we're seeing consistently lower pressures in certain areas. So this is listed as an organizational goal in our budget. It was budgeted to do this work, and we got quotes for the materials. We're going to need transducers, we're going to need surge suppression and optical isolation, and we're also going to need conduit and fittings. And so there's 3 different vendors there for the total amount of $41,841.03. This work will be installed in-house, and then the actual integration with our SCADA system will come online with the current project we have ongoing with the water production SCADA. That's currently in phase 1 of that project. They will do the programming to get all this information into SCADA at that time. So we'll be able to pull up live pressure maps, which will help narrow down our search when we have problems.
So actually, once this is up and running, it's at a glance, you could actually look at the whole thing and
At a glance, I will be able to pull up a map I say a map. They'll pull up a graphical representation of it in general system, and we'll be able to see what the pressures are and put alarm codes in for if the pressure drops by more than 10 PSI, we'll get an alarm in there and we can go start proactively looking for things.
Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend approving the purchase of the components for installation of a water distribution remote pressure monitoring system as shown in the amount of $41,841.03.
I'll second.
All right. Any other questions or discussion on this matter? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Passes 3-0 as well. Thank you for hanging in all those items.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. It's been quite a large amount of stuff. Good afternoon, Mr. Owens. Good to see you.
Likewise. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's see. Once again, as with last month and also in accordance with prior years, our July financial statements are a preliminary view. We're, of course, in the middle of our annual audit right now. The week of field work is actually going to be next week, so by the end of next week, we'll have an awful lot of the audit out of the way.
Are they coming in?
They work remotely for the most part.
They are going to come in some, though? Or?
They usually come into TSI or Prestige PEO's offices to do some reviews of employee records and HR and payroll related items.
We don't have a back room here with little air conditioning to stuff them into?
No, they've.
Okay.
We're all high tech now.
Okay.
We upload to a common audit
Thank you.
system. But yes, as well as July 2026's financials being preliminary, we typically do not update the prior year number until we've finished the audit as well, when we have final June 2026 numbers. So looking at this month's activity, cash and cash equivalents decreased about 1.1 million. We saw a large number of payables that I'll detail in a moment. But of course, we also saw a fair amount of transfers into receivables, notably 342,000 that went into the SPLOST account, and miscellaneous transfers to our other reserve accounts as well. But that was really the largest activity for current assets. So we finished current assets for the month with 9,622,000. The restricted cash accounts for JWSC reserves, that increased to 272,000. Miscellaneous transfers in, but also about $178,000 for interest, less about a $50,000 fair market value adjustment. Accounts for pretty much all of the activity we saw there. I just mentioned the SPLOST transfer that we had that brought the SPLOST account up to a little over $500,000 as of the end of July, and that puts our total restricted cash at $59,961,620. Capital assets, definitely a lot of activity here this month. Fixed assets net of depreciation increased $11 million from our last posted results last month. That's largely due to about $10.68 million in added infrastructure, a lot of dedications and things that we were getting caught up on for last year. Also about $303,000 worth of machinery and equipment that was capitalized as well. We have not run depreciation yet. That's a typical practice when we're in the midst of the audit. Once the audit's finalized, we'll run catch-up depreciation for June, July, and by that time, August and September as well. But that brings total capital assets at the moment to $241,551,804 for the month of July. No significant change on deferred assets, so total assets ended the month at $312,567,224. Current liabilities, payables decreased significantly, almost $1.2 million. We saw a lot of activity on project-related payables. About $1.7 million in payables on projects, and new payable invoices added of about $558,000, netting out to that $1.2 million. The Academy Creek Clarifier project, that accounted for about $751,000 of the change, and Exit 29, that was $570,000 of our accounts payable change. Short-term portion of long-term debt, that ended up the month at $3,237,861. That was a increase of $1.2 million, which is a normal reclassification each year. At the end of the year, we have to reclass the next 12 months worth of our debt to short-term debt, and that comes off of the long-term debt, which decreased roughly the same amount this month as well, putting long-term debt at $23,205,224. That puts total liabilities at $72,680,908 for the month of July. Looking at our third page, revenue and expenses. Total revenues for the month of July came in at a little over $3.7 million, and that was just a hair below budget expectations by about $58,000. I did notice that sewer and water revenues were a little down, about $52,000 and $24,000 compared to prior year July month. Probably seasonal activity and just changes with our weather and water usage at this particular month. But as I mentioned earlier, interest less the fair market value adjustment gave us a boost of $120,000 in the interest income category. On the expense side, we noticed a large amount of expenses, total $4.823 million. That is $2.2 million ahead of over budget, but that's basically all of the encumbrances that we book at the beginning of the year. One of the biggest ones was, of course, for our oxygen purchase order that we booked essentially what we hope will be a full year's oxygen usage at $1.9 million. So as time passes, we'll see that budget overage pared out as we get further into the year. Another nice thing.
Those are paid once a month generally, is that?
As needed, we order, and then, of course, just to draw off of the purchase order.
Oxygen is delivered 3 to 4 times a week. They invoice when they feel like it.
Okay.
And you'll get like 9 invoices at once, so.
So we just pay when they come in.
And as we beat the bushes during year end is when we find out about invoices that people forgot. Just anecdotal bit of news. We had an invoice come in that we recorded for last year for last July. And I think that was only about $8,000, but
Still.
if that were my money, I would want it a little quicker. But it was purely because the vendor had not sent it to us. But a little ray of sunshine. Bad debt expense, $23,000 for the month. That's about $25,000 lower than it was last year. We got some of our high balance receivables written off for last year, so that's not causing us to incur a larger bad debt expense accrual this year. So at the moment, net revenue coming up at a negative almost $2.3 million, but like I said, that'll shake out nicely as we progress through the year. Looking next page, the more detailed view of expenses. Nothing particularly new here, except I noted the Office of Director showed $120,000 for the month of July. $85,000 of that was due to the USGS annual agreement that we have. And I want to take a deeper look at that. It seems that last year that invoice came in and was paid in June. This year it came in and was paid in July. So basically it makes it look like for fiscal year 26, we didn't have this expense. So it's something that we may want to start recording to prepaids and allocating out on a monthly basis just to get a truer picture of the timing of the cost as opposed to the payment of the invoice. But other than that, it was all the usual offenders, oxygen, chemicals, fuel, pumps, repairs, rentals, electricity, and biosolid removals that were driving the high costs that we see in wastewater operations and treatment plants. Almost $896,000 and $2.657 million in July costs there. Going on to our
I will note, to your point, though, if you compare this year's cost of, not the encumbrance, just the cost at $2 million to last year's $2.5 million, we're doing significantly better so far in this fiscal year.
Indeed. And the cash report, essentially this is just a more detailed view of the assets, cash and reserves that we saw on the balance sheet. Skipping ahead to the investment summary, at the moment, total portfolio continues to yield a little over 4%. The fair market value gives us a paper loss of $112,406 on the portfolio, but since we hold all of our investments to maturity, that's really a non-issue for us. And as stated earlier, we had about $178,000 in interest, less the $52,000 fair market value write-down this month.
Anything below 4% either.
No. Yeah, all of our investments are definitely going over 4% right now. I did notice, due to comments made by the Treasury Secretary of expanding a bond buyback, Treasury yields took a little bit of a dip today. But we'll see if that's a continuing and expanding program or if it's just a one-time thing. But I don't foresee any big hiccups as a result of that. And then skipping to the project summary report, the biggest things to note there, the community road area sewer expansion. That project shows the $723,000 reduction in cost that was passed last month. And we saw on the St. Simons Island water production improvements, $175,000 encumbrance on that project. And for Academy Creek clarifier rehab, encumbrances for that project increased about $4.6 million. To a total of $7,888,000. Total project costs at the moment $50,280,843. And that's, of course, everything from prior year to date plus our July expenses. If you have any questions, I'm all ears.
Do we have a provision in our contracting that there's maybe a filing or an invoicing limit of 180 days or something?
I have kind of beat that dead horse for years in other positions I've held. It was something that we ran into an awful lot at Georgia Pacific. I wanted to institute, like, okay, you have 90 days to invoices or you don't get paid. Unfortunately, that just doesn't fly. I don't believe there's much of a legal standing for us to do anything like that extreme. But we certainly try to get our invoices in as quickly.
It's illegal. Medicare does it. If you don't file your claim with Medicare, you don't get paid in a timely manner, so.
It'd be worth considering if there are options, because, I mean, it usually is not a huge amount of money, but every year we get to the end of the fiscal year and we spend the entire month of June calling vendors saying, will you please invoice me for the work you did?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a big deal, and
Yeah.
especially a lot of the smaller folks that we work with, just paperwork isn't their strong suit, and so they're great at getting the work and getting the repairs done, but sometimes the paperwork.
yeah.
It can.
That one that got lost, I think what happened is they were actually, if I'm not mistaken, that was from when they went to their new computer system, and what we got was it was hung up in their stuff, so it wasn't even looking like an open thing.
We'll make sure our bills go out on
Yes,
time.
that's what I'm saying, so just the fact that those
Maybe you should buy them a version of QuickBooks or something.
Well, you know,
Do it
it's,
online.
it's interesting, even on our large capital projects, some contractors, you're getting a bill every month on the 25th of the month. And whether it's for $100 or $1 million, you're gonna get a bill. And some of them, they'll take 3 months to bill you, and then we'll get an invoice for $2 million because they haven't billed us for 3 months.
Well, if you run a business properly, you should bill regularly, and when you get your money, get it in the bank as soon as possible. So,
It is mind-boggling how many
yeah,
people and institutions out there don't really seem to be in a hurry to get paid.
I wouldn't want to lose a good vendor, but I would also, like to hold them accountable.
I did joke with staff that we were gonna pay their payroll on the same schedule that we get our invoices in. They seem less enthused with
I
that
didn't think
approach.
that would go over so
Yeah,
well.
they seem less enthused with that approach.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an issue.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Dave, we appreciate your efforts.
Thank
Your
you.
report as usual, so. Any other matters?
Not at this moment, sir.
All right, I'll make, let's see, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? And we are adjourned.